So yesterday, I was planning on going to the market to sell some of my stuff that, some of my products that I sell online. And I wanted to get out there and talk to the people because, I do my online business, basically at home. So I'm over here like, I need to get out. I need to talk to people because, if you like a people's person and you're sociable and you love the interaction with people, to talk to them and, hear what it is that they have to say, because each and every day we encounter people and every day somebody has a word for us. Knowingly or unknowingly, we don't just bump into people. There is a reason for everything under the sun. And if you just take time to listen and, pay attention and observe, you will understand why you encounter the individuals that you encounter on a daily basis. Like I said in previous videos, numerous videos, even if you encounter people just to smile, because you never know what someone is going through on the inside. Somebody could be suffering on the inside, sick on the inside, feeling drained or dead on the inside. And that's where we come into place as the angels that God has, placed on earth, utilized, structured, so we can be kind to one another. And like I said, even if it's just a smile or, a hello or just, good morning, that might brighten that someone's day to let them know you are alive and you are well. Let peace be within your soul. However, I always have this prayer where I say, let those who know you not encounter those who know you. Such as myself, if I know God and I sense that, hey, someone might need a word of encouragement, someone might need this or that or third, and it might not be in the structure where I'm like, have you given it on to Jesus or something like that. It might be in the structure that greater is already within. So I don't need to say, have you done these things? Because this person is in your presence, although it is physically a flesh, you are still supposed to be operating in the spirit, where God can utilize you just like he utilized a lot of individuals under the sun, including Jesus, because you are just as important, because we are one under the sun. And he has given us authority, he has given us the power to heal, to deliver, and to bring people towards a better state of mental capacity, where they're operating on a positive frequency versus a negative depression, no state that will, consume them in a period of time, if not kill them before it's time. So back to yesterday. So yesterday I was planning on basically going out there, talk to people, and just vibe with people and see what's going on, because people have this way, they always talk to me and it's like I know people, even strangers, because it's like the way they communicate with me. If I'm making sense, the way they communicate with me, it's like so open and honest, to the point where they're not holding back information, like I know you, like you trust me, those type of things, so it's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience to hear the stories of many and to be able to give them a word of encouragement as greater dwells within me, and that is basically a part of our the reason why we encounter each other is to fellowship on that level, to build one another up, because you have something that someone else need, whether it's just a hi, good morning, a wave, or whatever that is. So that's my purpose under the sun, is to basically encounter many, and at the same time be the love that I desire to see in the world, internally flowing externally. Like I always say, if greater is within you, other individuals should be able to see that. By the time you leave under the sun, other people should be able to big you up and say things that's going to even lift you up high in the afterlife, so that you continue to be rich. Because from the heart, from the start, man, let me continue to go into this. So yeah, that was my purpose and my reason for going. And it's a beautiful experience when you encounter individuals even if you encounter the wrong individual, sometimes the negative ones who's at work, and it's like, oh my gosh, why are you at work? Because you don't want to be here. You have an attitude. You know, you might go to the restaurant or wherever you may go, and it might be that sort of worker who doesn't want to be there because they're going through something. But don't fight fire with fire. Don't basically agitate, irritate, or, you know what I'm saying, give on to that person what they actually deserve. Sometimes I basically feed people me. You see what I said? I will feed people what they feed me if I'm operating on a frequency other than love. But sometimes people need, it's so complicated because sometimes people need correction. Of course, there's a right way and wrong way to do things, you know, but there's levels to this, and there has to be some sort of balance, because sometimes God wants you to teach somebody something, but not in a vindictive way or in a destructive manner that is going to alleviate this, cause the situation to expand to another level where it's going to crush somebody, or, you know, put them into this detrimental state and cause them more trauma, if that makes sense. Because like I said, there's a right and wrong way to correct people. It's like, you know, correcting your child or your pet, or, you know, anything in life, because everything in life needs correction, including us. But the biggest correction we can do is the correction that we can do of self, is where we know, hey, these are the things that I need to change, because it's not basically in alignment with the natural orders and frequency of life, where I'm continuing to be building up on this foundation where everything is operating in a positive manner versus a negative and destructive manner, where things are not happening the way you want it to happen, or as quickly as you want it to happen, or seen it happening. Because one thing God does is that if you ask him, he said, ask and you will receive. So if you asking or whatever the case is, because we have to have positive repetition in this season and consistency. So if you ask and you ask, he might not come when you want him to come. He might not come immediately. Sometimes it might just happen immediately, and you're like, oh my gosh, might happen, you know, 8 hours later, or whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying, days later, or whatever. He might not be on your time, but he's always on time. Because there might be things that you need to go through and things that you need to learn on that journey to which you are asking and seeking. But when he said ask, he didn't mean just ask and just, you know, wait for it and it's going to just fall into place. You have to work towards it. You have to be fruitful and multiply. You have to be productive. That's what he meant. Be productive, because the only way you'll be able to multiply is if you're productive. And that's where consistency comes into place. Instead of procrastinating and waiting for a blessing to pour out and to come down, just make it do what it do. And I had no idea I would be so, you know, so far in this video and didn't get into, you know, the subject at hand, which is me going to the market yesterday. Preparation, that is the subject of this this video. Preparation is so the key. Consistency, you know what I'm saying? Positivity, positive reinforcements, the ability to, like they say, plan things, jot it down, write down your goals, and to basically stick to it and set your eyes focused on it. That's why I always go back to that, you know, the chapters in the scriptures concerning Peter on the water, because all he had to do was keep his eyes on the Lord. All he had to do was keep his eyes on Jesus. But because he was thinking, hey, he had these doubts in his mind, he had these negative thoughts creeping in, he wasn't able to do what it is that Jesus knew that he was capable of doing. Jesus knew he was capable of walking on that water if he can just keep his eyes on him and stay focused. But because so much doubts keep creeping in, and just like with a lot of us, but anyways, we have this thing where we tend to procrastinate. So, you know, and then we have this thing where we do so many things where we don't put our attention just set on one thing, because we want, you know, passive income and, you know, different sources of streams, and because things are changing constantly. and consistently, because the enemy ain't sleeping. Why you over here lollygagging? Because listen, while I raise my hand, I'm not exempt. Because I'm so busy trying to give back and do this and do that, and, you know, have some sort of structure, that I'm constantly like not focused on just one task. So I'm not exempt, you know, but greater is within. I'm learning each and every day to change the errors of my ways, but I'm willing to do that. And that's how I continue to grow. And that's how I continue to know when it is time for change, when it is time for me to not learn the negative repetition of yesterday, but continue to move towards a positive foundation of repetition and not neglect the future that I foresee for myself and for everyone else that's surrounding me. Because as soon as we put ourselves in a better position, we are able to help those surrounding us and far away in other countries. You hear what I'm saying? So while I'm over here, I knew I had to go to the market for the entire week, you know, and I was basically prepping to do that. I knew things were to the side, but it's just like packing before the night before it's time for your flight, or the night before it's time for your trip, or whatever, or the morning, matter of fact, because that's what happened. I started to basically pack these things and get it to the side that morning. But I knew what I was going to take, yet why didn't I prepare for that the night before or 2 nights before? The negative, you know, procrastination. I could have done it then and there. I had this thing where I said for years, get it done now or never. And yet there are times where I'm not basically practicing the very same thing that I have vouched for and have placed. Now or never. And here I am in that morning, gathering things, boxes, putting in the car. It was easy. It wasn't like, you know, those times where I have to pack to go to the beach and stuff like that, where, you know, I'm going to the beach, I'm just throwing things and stuff like that. Because there comes a time when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. You might not basically pack what you need to go to the beach and stuff like that, because you know the beach is filled with stores and opportunities to get the things that you have left behind. But what happens when you basically go to the market? Because in my mind, I had all these ideas. I was like, you know, if I don't eat breakfast at home, I can basically stop out there. I hadn't passed like one Sheetz or one thing that I could have stopped by, because I was on the highway straight in that direction. And all of a sudden, I was already there. There was no stops I can make. Follow me in this. Follow me. There was no stops, but I had those ideas that there would be stops, even though I didn't even leave the house or according to a certain time. I left the house just in time, just enough time to get there to unpack and, you know, do what it is to set up, because they have this thing where they are structured a certain way, where you are using certain vendors and certain facilities. They are structured a certain way in certain markets where they're like, hey, you have this amount of time to unload. So I basically give myself 30 minutes. Well, I have 30 minutes to basically leave the house, excuse me. Here I am leaving the house 30 minutes before it's time for me to unpack and, you know, do all these things. And then the directions is jacked up, because sometimes the GPS takes you, you know, a different spot across the street from where you're actually supposed to be. So you have to give yourself that allotted time, you know, to basically that space in case, you know, things like this happen where the directions are jacked up. Preparation. So here I am looking, and then when I get to the market, I'm like looking for, you know, my number, which is 228, and I'm just like, where is it at? Of course, I'm going to ask, because me, I go by, hey, I'm going to ask. If I cannot basically see what I need, and there's people around that basically works here, whatever the case may be, you should be familiar with this area. Not to say it like that, but, you know, sometimes you go to places and people don't know. They can be working in the mall or working in, you know, a certain store, and they might just be structured in that certain area. But you have to have an exit out. You have to be familiar with some sort of space, you know, place. And, you know, especially if you're there as much as, you know, you are. So preparation, didn't leave, you know, like an hour prior or anything like that. I get there exactly on time. Why was I thinking that I was going to stop for food or have time for food, where in reality I didn't give myself that a lot of time to leave, you know, a decent time to basically stop for food and then basically be circling around. But anyways, it was still good, and I was still in that same time frame. But I like to be extra early, if I should say. So it wasn't like I was late. It was like, just like, you know, I was planning on being there a certain time. So anyways, let me go because I'm deviating a lot, but I hope that you are with me on this, okay? Because I'm going somewhere with it, I promise you. So then I get there, long story short, I make it to that area, 228. I'm over here, I'm out the car, I'm out the car, and I'm looking around, you know, a space right here on this area, and I know in my mind, because I went to Fayetteville Market before, that I'm thinking, hey, they have tables there, and hey, all I have to take is a cloth to put on the table and put my stuff down. So this is me leaning on my own understanding, creating these thoughts. You know, I didn't read this thing, and I definitely didn't email to ask. So, you know, I'm creating all these things in my mind, and I need you to stay with me towards it. I'm creating the whole, hey, I may stop for food, blah, blah, but I'm over here past the food because I know I don't have time to basically get the food. And then the food, who knows, I might have to use the bathroom, this, that, and the third. So I just head there straight through. So I finally get it to 228. I get out the car. I'm over here, you know, have all this space. I see people moving around, setting up their tents, you know, all of that good stuff. It's kind of chilly out there. I'm like, dang, it's kind of cold. But anyways, I ain't paying attention to that. So I see these two guys, and one is, you know, holding a bunch of containers on and a table, and, you know, all this stuff on a cart. And I look at them and I'm like, where do I get a table? And where do you guys get the tables? And they're like, listen to me. They was like, you got to bring it with you. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, darn, like, because I remember going to the store that night, the night before, and I saw some tables was under $50 and $55 and stuff like that. You know, those little full tables. And I was like, you know, I should get one of those. But then I'm like, you know what? I don't have to get one of those because they'll have tables there, or whatever the case is. Remind you, I didn't read that and I didn't ask that. But in my mind, I was thinking, hey, because I went to this other market in this other area, they had a table that, you know, the tables and everything was going to be there. And that whatever. So anyways, I'm like, dang. So, okay, I'm over here. I have all my stuff. You hear me? I have all my stuff to lay down. I didn't forget anything, but the only thing I don't have is a table. So I'm like, you know, you got to be thinking smart. You can't be over here like, oh my God, and overacting and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, where's the office? That's my next question. Where's the office? Let me go talk to the boss. Like, no, I go to the boss. I don't go to like the employees, you know. So I'm like, okay, where's the office? So he's like, okay, it's over there. So he points me in that direction. I start to go over there. I'm like, okay, I go through this little, you know, it feels like a little maze or whatever, but it's not. That's how the imagination goes. Like, I imagine that I would, you know, do these things and they would have a table. Preparation. I thought I was prepared. I knew I was prepared. Nothing wrong was wrong until I got to that market. And then they said, hey, there are no tables. And I knew I was in a hiccup because, hey, anyways, continuing. So I go through to the office. I'm like, hey, good morning. I totally did not know that I needed a table. Can I basically reschedule it for next weekend instead? And he was like, okay, cool. He agreed with it. And I was like, so happy. That's what favor is all about, because sometimes you can run into people that's going to be like, no bueno, you're not about to get back that money, because it did state that, hey, we don't basically return fees or whatever the case may be, but he allowed me that. So I'm thankful. Gratitude to Brooke, I believe. So yeah. So I'm over here like, okay, cool. He's like, I'm gonna email you on Monday. And you know, this, that, and the third. We exchange information. So I'm heading back. You know, and then he also stated, hey, I have somebody that basically here that rents tables and chairs and stuff like that. I was not, I wasn't basically into it. I don't even know what I was thinking, honestly, because I knew I had basically a beach chair in my car, but I wasn't thinking about all that. I was just thinking, get the products in the car and just get there. And, because sometimes you want to do certain things, but sometimes you don't structure it the way you want it to. And sometimes you have these thoughts like I had in my mind due to a different location. But the point and the moral of the story is that I got to that point where I'm like, preparation is the key. And that is what God is. Because I saw so many people, and I still see so many people searching to and fro, left and right, all around in circles. And when you're going around in circles, the enemy has to be in it, because you spinning around, you ought to be dizzy at this point. What I'm trying to say is that God is that table. And without that table, I couldn't do nothing. I wasn't about to, since he already said we needed our own tables, my best bet was to basically better prepare myself for the following week, have everything lined up, have my chair into place, have my table into place. That way I don't have to rent nobody else's table, because if I'm going there the next week, I'm probably going to most likely be there some other weekends, and I'm going to require certain things. It's like when you need to prepare before you go into the gym. If you plan on going to the gym to work out and then go to, the pool afterwards in the gym and do all this other stuff, you need a towel, you need swimming trunks and certain things. Although in the summertime, I don't know, people was getting in the water with jeans on and all type of madness. But anyways, that's neither here or there, and it should be here and there, because why would you get in the pool with jeans on? It's supposed to be some sort of structure. Like, that makes absolutely no sense unless you have a private pool. In that facility, there's supposed to be some sort of structure, because who's to say that you haven't been in those same jeans for an entire week? And granted, that pool basically it doesn't clean itself, but let's not deviate into that, because there's just so much where people don't think accordingly. Yeah. So back to that. God is that table, and so many people going to and fro in circles, seeking information in other places. And it's like, when I had all my products, I had everything was gathered, but I didn't have that table. Now, if you're that type of person and you don't mind putting your things, your new products and stuff like that, which it was neither here or there, because like I said, I had a cloth. But if I said there were several things into play, and it was cold, and I felt like I was not organized. People had tents, literally, like they were prepared, okay? They had tents. It was kind of chilly yesterday. So, all of this going on, I'm like, I can better prepare, have a table set out. I can have a tent with, things that's blocking me from, sides that's blocking me from the wind. And that began to create a whole new idea. And that's how the saying goes like, hey, people are better when they fellowship amongst each other to, exchange ideas. Because I wasn't thinking to have all of that. I was just thinking, even the tables that they had, which was the same that I saw in the stores that I could have bought, even the tables wasn't the same as the different location. So you hear what I'm saying? You have to basically change your mind where you see and you observe what's in front of you. And what's in front of you is that no matter how far you go, what direction you go, God is here. And you won't be able to breathe without it. I had all the products before me. You have all the books in front of you, but you don't have the Bible in front of you. And yeah, you have it on your phone. Yeah, you probably have it in your house. Yeah, you probably have it at your girl's or your boyfriend's house. Yet you don't basically take the time to open it and acknowledge it. You might have it in your mother's house or whatever it may be, your auntie, whoever, your caregiver, or whoever your friend or your associate may be. But most importantly, it's on that phone, it's on your tablets, and it's everywhere. Yet you are seeking information to and fro in so many places, even different countries, and you have it right in front of you and within you. Wanting to fellowship with you and align with you in this season and through every season. You want that air, you want that breath of life, and God is that breath of life. And even though, I had everything that I needed, besides food and besides water. I was prepared to that because I'm not a breakfast person, and I knew that, time would tell. And later on, if I get to that point where I needed that sort of nourishment from, lunch or anything like that, it was going to happen. Because where there is a way, where there is a will, there is a way. And God's will is always and forever for me to have the victory and overcome and triumph over the enemy. And he wants you to triumph over the enemy. But you have to be prepared in this season and every season. How you going to be prepared if you don't have the table? How you going to be prepared if you don't have the breath of life? How you going to prepare if you don't have the bread of life? And the bread is the nourishment that comes from the word, and the word was within God, right? And the word was God. Isn't that what the scripture says? So he said it in his word, because I didn't make these things up. I can only vouch for it. I can only represent it because I know that it's faithful and truth. And I had to basically bring you this word, and I hope those didn't channel out and just, completely get lost in the sauce. And you stuck with me because I told you, just stick with me here. Because I know I tend to deviate a lot, because somebody has to hear certain things, because the word, and when the spirit moves, because when greater is within, you don't know why you're saying certain things. You're a machine that needs certain things within you to flow righteously, so that you continue to triumph, straight up and down, So I basically had to start over. I had all these ideas. Did you hear that part? I had all these ideas. The only thing I had was everything. You have all these books in front of you. You have all these friends with front of you, like you claim. Yet nobody's showing up. How do you basically claim all these friends and no one shows up? Except for the God that dwells within, that continuously travels with you on your journeys, as long as you have the right heart. What's the right heart? When you are not basically deceptive and deceiving man. When you're not deceitful out here. Where you're not trying to destroy your neighbor or your brother. When you're not trying to badmouth one another. Because what's the purpose? Because it's not building up your pockets. It's not making you richer. It's not bringing bread for your children literally to eat. It's not putting food on your table, clothes on your backs. It's not bringing you no sort of increase. It's draining you. It's not bringing breathing life through you. So that was it was kind of a rude awakening, because I had already got up. I'm going back to the story. I had already, because I know some people like, And it's been like that ever since I know myself. That's what happens when you think you're just constantly, but hopefully you get it. Preparation. I wanted it. And I went and got it, because you know what? I had already got up early in the morning, and I was just like, oh my gosh, those mornings when you're like, because I had to set the alarm. Because these people had already prepared. They was like, listen, you got to be here between either 5 and 9, or 6 and 9, or 8 and 9. But the last hour and the final thing was the number 9. So you can't be out here playing with other people's time. You can't go over here, because once that door and that gate is shut for that entrance for you to set up as a vendor, it's a wrap. Because you can have all these ideas in your mind. But if you are not on time and in alignment with somebody's other order, with somebody's other structure, it's not going to go the way that you foresee it to go, which is to win that day by selling all your purchases or whatever it may be. Because your structure has to be lined up with the person that's basically giving you the space, because they are operating in a certain way. They have rules and they have regulations. Do you have rules and do you have regulations for the things that you are trying to breathe life through? Which is the business, the structure, and everything, that foundation that you have that should basically fall into place with whatever business or work or job that you are doing. That's how people get lost, because they don't have that foundation, that seed that you first planted when you know you needed this position where you know you need to create these resources and services for other individuals, because that is basically what your purpose is about, rendering certain services and letting it fall through accordingly, and not basically trying to manipulate anyone for businesses. Because if you're manipulating people out here, if you're doing the opposite of what you originally intended to do and what they thinking that you're going to do from them, which is basically give them, do them justice instead of basically being foul. So if you're not operating on that alignment, and that person is operating on that alignment where it's like all is well and it's from the heart from the start, and then you over here like not from the heart from the start, and you are just trying to be deceitful and manipulative, the natural orders of life, karma, will treat you accordingly, because like the word says, what we reap is what we sow. What you reap is what you sow. Don't be surprised in where you harvest. Don't be surprised in what you harvest when you sow in these bad seeds. Because you ain't about to plant no fruit and pour no poison on it. It's not going to grow. It's going to die immediately. And when you are cruel to other individuals, when you're speaking certain things to other individuals, when you're bringing other individuals down, that's just basically building you up with chaos. It's not creating anything within that other individual. It might be, if that other individual is not built on a certain structure and frequency that's on a foundation where they're not going to cause what you have to say to intimidate them, manipulate them, or bring them in the path of death. And that's why people need God, and that's why you need that table, and that's why you need that bread, because you can circle around to and fro. You can go to Tom, Dick, and Harry, but I'm telling you right now, without that table, I wasn't basically doing no business, because in my mind, I needed it to be new. I needed it to be fresh. I needed it to be structured, because greater is within and greater desires a certain structure. But how would you know what greater is within desires if you are not aligned with greater within from the heart, from the start? We have to cleanse our minds and our hearts, because sometimes when we are speaking certain things, as a man thinketh, so is he. So many people don't listen to what they say, because if you listen to what you say, you would know that you're speaking death versus life. You would know that you are a natural hater in this realm. You would know that you are a natural deceiver in this realm. You would know that you are a natural healer in this realm, a natural deliverer, a natural motivator, a natural promoter, a natural elevator, elevating the atmosphere and the surrounding, because greater is within, and knowingly and unknowingly, people operate in the frequency of love each and every day, not even knowing it. And that's how you know God is real, when you are encounter individuals and you are in one harmony, and you're like, you know what? You remind me of this person, you remind me of my aunt, you remind me of my great-grandma, whatever. Because we are all one under the sun, and it's that frequency, and God put these people into motion and into place to reach out and touch somebody's hand. I'm not going to sing it right now. I am reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place. If you can. Oh, listen, it's like those songs that is within you. You can't escape it. That's why you see certain music and certain situations where as soon as certain people, like ourselves, whoever you are, that the music is within you, you just can't escape it. You hear that beat. And sometimes you hear a beat and you jam into it and don't even know the song. It could be in a different language or whatever the case is, but hey, it's that sound. And God wants you to hear his sound. He don't want you to hear just any sound. The universe has a sound, and it's not noisy. It's pure. It's peaceful. It starts internally, flowing externally. And love is always within it, because God is love, and don't you ever forget it. Without anything, with all that you do in life, have that table. Have that bread that's going to be nourishing to your bodies, to your mind, to your heart, to your soul, in one alignment. Have those things in preparation. When you gather in all these different information, have that one thing as the foundation, because without that table, I can't rest not one thing. So I'm standing there. I'm not standing there anymore because I went to the manager, of course, but I'm over here, continuing to go forward. Because as you heard in the story, I was like, where's the office side and stuff like that. But without that table, without a table, you hear what I'm saying? Even without the four corners of that table, even with the four corners of that table, even without the four corners of that table, the table is nothing without the four legs. What do? God created so many gifts, so many tools to us. Do we cogitate on it? Do we observe these things? I can't put not one thing if nothing is there for me to place, to start the foundation. The table was that foundation for me to have a successful day in that atmosphere. And I wasn't prepared, but I'm going to be. And I'm happy. It was a beautiful feeling. I wasn't disappointed. I was happy because I was allowed another opportunity to not lose my money and to come better prepared next time. So I learned my lesson, and that's what life is about, learning, not reacting. Not just, oh my God, I plan to basically be here and meet people and talk to them and have a productive day. Because if it was like that, he gave me a second option, which is to rent a table. But I could have asked, hey, how much is it and stuff like that. But it wouldn't have been a lot. But my point is, I knew within me. I didn't need somebody outside of me to say, well, hey, or somebody to encourage me and blah, blah. My mind was set. Greater that what dwells within was set. The creativity within me was set. The confidence within me was set. From the time I said, where's the office? If somebody was going to be in the office, I knew that favor was going to be set. Because greater flows within. That when greater flows within, there can be no doubts in the battlefield. And life is a battlefield filled with tests. You hear me? Life is a battlefield filled with tests. And people ask me, why are you smiling or why are you laughing when we're talking about serious matter? Because what do you want me to cry? I have to feel joy within inside because I know that it's chaotic on the outside. I know it's noisy on the outside. How do I know that it's noisy on the outside? I'm looking at you and I'm seeing a lot. Just like you're looking and you're seeing a lot. You're seeing a lot of chaos. You're seeing a lot of destruction. But God wants us to keep our eyes set on him. So that's why I smile. That's why I laugh. That's why I sing. That's why I dance. Because I know that glory, all the glory belongs to you. All the glory belongs to you, God. It's that beat. It is that sound. And if greater is within, you will continue to hear that sound or a sound, no matter what that sound is. If greater is within, you will hear a sound. No matter what your sound is, the sound will cause you to elevate, permeate, go to a different level as long as you keep your eye focused on God, on the consciousness of Christ, knowing to not go in your direction, go in the opposite direction. Lean not on your own understanding, but lean on the understanding of the Creator that dwells within, because the Creator that dwells within and the Holy Spirit are in all one accord with the consciousness of Christ. And you are walking through the consciousness. Well, you should be walking through the consciousness of Christ, but you were walking through the journey of Christ each and every day, where he was basically stoned, where he was basically put down, where he was basically boxed in by man. Because what did he say? I'm about my Father's business. He knew he was about his Father's business, but some of us don't know that we are here exactly for the same purpose, our Father's business, to reach out and touch somebody's hands. Make it a better place, whether it is smiling, whether it's saying good morning, or whatever it may be. Whatever your addition is to be, because you are an addition supposed to be, not a subtraction to society or to your communities. Neither is your children supposed to be. So we have to get back that family unit. Like, oh my gosh, people don't even have cookouts, none of that anymore. Why? Because we're in certain communities where people started to play their music, the police had to be called to basically the people to turn down that sound, that music that was basically causing them, that good vibration, causing them to enjoy life. Of course, in certain places, it would be a little bit excessive than it needs to be. But as long as we are on the same frequency of light and love, love and light, love and life, because there's no life without love. And I mean the proper love. I don't mean like that battling love where you are constantly battling against love. You can't battle against the creator of all things. Stop battling. He wants you to come just as you are from the heart, from the start. He created you, yet you have other individuals outside of you. Like I said before, I started to go down this track. My mind was set. Preparation was the key. I acknowledge that. And that's what many of us need to do. Acknowledge our story. Acknowledge the decisions we make. Because I had time. What was I doing in the midst of that? All different types of stuff in the midst of that. Because I believe in creating limitless heights for myself and my family. And for everybody I encounter in society. I want to be able to help others because it is within me to do so. With that being said, do not forget to prepare for whatever it is in life. Because sometimes we create so many ideas in our mind and it might not go the way we want it to go. God may not come when we want him to come, but he's always on time. He's never leaving nor forsaking us, but we have to basically have that foundation. We have to have that relationship with him. Even when we don't have a relationship with him, he is here from the start. But when you want him to be there so you can hear him, so you can feel him, so you can fellowship with him, because that's what he wants, for you to be in union with him, for you to rest within his presence, for you to have peace. But you keep searching for peace outside of you. You keep asking for questions outside of you because you need to see. You need people to talk to you. You need people to hold you. You need people to love you. You need others outside of you to do these things that you can physically see in this realm. Yet, how do you know that these people you see love you? Unless they show you. God is showing us each and every day how much he loves us. He's operating so many ways. And if we pay attention and instead of being distracted by the things of this world, for he said in his word, be not conformed to the things of this world, but be transformed with the renewing of your mind. I'm not going to lie to you. That is how I continue to triumph over the enemy and to have the victory. I'm not going to say that I'm perfect. I'm not going to say that I basically don't have errors along the way where I lean on my own understanding, because we are still in this physical realm and spiritual realm. And I love the world that we live in. God have gifted us with so many beautiful things naturally. But man, in society that's outside of you continues to try to rule you, which diminishes a lot of the beauty that is externally and internally already birthed. That's already formed, that's already structured a certain way. They go in the opposite direction. And that's what makes everything a little bit chaotic and not in alignment with the natural orders of life when you have someone trying to control you and pretend to be God, the faker versus the maker. Keep your eyes on the maker versus the faker. How do you know the difference between the maker and the faker? You have to get into the word of God. You have to basically get into that word. If you don't understand it, ask. Prove him to be faithful and true, like I and other individuals continue to do. Don't just basically doubt what other people are saying. Don't just doubt that, you don't have the victory. You don't have it because your mindset is not on that. Your mindset is like on victim. Like, oh my gosh, I don't have the victory. I have victimship. Why you have victimship? Because somebody outside of you allowed you to hold on to that. Or you allowed yourself to hold on to that because you allowed to put yourself in these situations where you're surrounded in that environment where other individuals, versus bringing you up and pouring into you, they're bringing you down. And so many people are a clown, so many people are a clown that they continue to move around town, move around town, go in the place where they shouldn't be, placing your feet in the presence of the enemy, knowingly and unknowingly, knowingly yet don't care. Don't care, because that's how you get down. That's how many get down until they end up in the ground, deep down, all around town, all around town. There are cemeteries all around town in different locations. How do they operate? Does it really matter? See, sometimes in life we ask questions where, does it really matter? The things I think about is, well, I used to think about, not now because my eyes are set on something else, but I used to think, like, I wonder what, rolling past the cemetery, I used to think, like, I wonder what type of person that was when I saw the names. I wonder what type of person that was. Whenever it was a good person or, blah, blah, blah. But those are the thoughts. Whether you was a good person or a bad person, not whether, sometimes, a lot of times, how they operate, it matters a lot, because some people have certain operations where you like, are you serious? But that's what happened when you are operating on the frequency of the things of this world versus the things that God has set into place. God didn't ask for this. And if greater that dwells within than he that dwells within the world, you would know. Yet the Bible tells you and shows you, like, hey, God has set these things aside for us. Yet man who continues to lean on their own understanding, the faker, always want to basically try to pretend he the maker by putting you in these positions that you don't want to be in. Preparation is the key to overcome the enemy, and all that you're doing and all that you're preparing for. Prepare to seek the Lord. Prepare to seek God. Prepare to seek the only one that's going to breathe life through you. Prepare to seek the one that's only going to, the only one that's going to give you peace under the sun, baby. I'm going to tell you what I know, not what I don't know. Because if I tell you something that is a lie, I'm going to be lie. I don't want to be lying these streets. There's too many of them. They all had lifting up their hands, throwing up their thighs. I'm kidding. But they ready. The enemy is seeking to devour who he may kill and destroy. Don't basically raise your hand and fall into the traps of the enemy by not having that table, by not having that bread of life, because God is the breath of life. And without that foundation, you can search for what you're going to search for, but unless you have that structure, unless you have that creator within, you're a loser. You a loser. You got to have the creator within, and sometimes it might not even be the word that you have planted upon your heart. Excuse the loser part. Nobody's a loser, okay? I had to say that because I believe in kindness, and I believe in love, and I believe in the importance of every single one under the sun, but many people don't understand the importance within themselves. And that's what God wants you to know, the importance of yourself, by diving through these words, by diving through these scriptures, because everything I believe in, and taking it with a grain of salt. The Bible speaks in a lot of parables. But those who ask and seek understanding shall have it, because he have never left none of us, well, not me, nor forsaken me, nor mine. And if you concentrate on the glory and the goodness of God, you will see that he has never left you, nor yours either. That his spirit is alive and well. So many people ask, oh, how did, my mind is always going towards different directions. And I love to talk, as you can see, because I had no idea it would be an hour. Sometimes our family members want to send us something. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so long. And okay, whatever. I guess it's not for you then. I guess it's for somebody else. It's always for the strangers. It's always for somebody else in the world, not for the ones that already is in your homes, that's already in your circles. It's not for them because they know you, so they tend to judge you sometimes and put you in a position and have you under some sort of covenant where God wants you to pull you out of that covenant and line you up with his covenant, because his covenant is trying to take you high. And as I say these words to you, I'm talking to myself too, but that's how the Spirit operates. You think I'm over here trying to preach or trying to teach you? The Spirit is teaching me too. In all that I do, we need enhancements. We need to go high. We can't be basically down here low. If we are fruitful, if we are productive and we're multiplying and God gives us favor and he says ask, we should be able to show other individuals, not just speak about it and teach about it. We should be living proofs of the very same thing that we speak of. But we have to have preparation, and we have to be in alignment with the natural order of life. We have to be in alignment with Christ. A lot of people don't want to hear that. You have to be in alignment with Christ. What is Christ? The consciousness, the mindset that you are here about your Father's business. You are here about your Father's business. You are here about your Father's business. So when they said turn to both cheeks, they meant keep it moving, keep it pushing, keep it pushing. Because you know what? Things is going to come. Obstacles is going to come left and right. You know what I'm saying? The enemy is going to attack left and right. But hey, greater, if he's dwelling within, you going to triumph continuously, right? Because people take certain parts, but don't forget all of the parts where he ain't never left the righteous forsaken nor begging for bread. Please, somebody in the comment and the post something that tells me and other individuals where God has left his people forsaken and begging for bread, where his people didn't have the victory, when Daniel didn't triumph over the enemy, when he didn't deliver Israel from the enemy's territory. Please, somebody leave a comment, a post. Tell me. Don't tell me, because I already know, because you're going to be wasting your time. Tell it to somebody else. You're going to waste your time. Preparation. Don't forget the table, because I ain't going to forget the table, and I'm not going to forget to have everything lined up and boxed up and in the car the night before, so that morning I'm even going to have, my snacks and everything, my water and everything. Because when you learn the first time, that's all it should be, is one time where you basically fail to forget something, where you fail to deliver a hi, a smile, a thank you. Because if greater dwells within, you shouldn't be angry, showing the traits of the enemy, right? The enemy is very ugly. The enemy makes people feel like the beast in the movie, not Beauty and the Beast, because we know what happened with him. He was under a spell, and that's what a lot of people are under, a spell. They wait to basically have that spell removed. But if they are not determined to move that spell, because the beast knew he was under a spell, but some of you don't know you under a spell. And that's the difference between people who can be corrected and those who cannot, because you don't acknowledge, many don't acknowledge, not you, but it might be you too, and I hope you receive this. But many don't acknowledge the errors of their ways. And a lot of individuals, they feel so high and mighty, they don't want to apologize. But there's something about being the bigger person, and how you become the bigger person is by being truthful with your spirit, by being responsible about somebody else's spirit. Because we have this thing where when we person and curse, pouring curse onto somebody else by the things that we speak out of our mouth, it's bringing somebody else down on the inside, because you don't know what that person might have been going through at a young age and at a young stage. And one word may trigger them and make them feel less of themselves, and you may not know that. But if your eyes are set on God, if your eyes are set on God's word, you know that your mouth is used to be productive, to be fruitful, to be of love, to be of peace, to build people up versus bringing them down. Preparation. You need preparation, consistency, positive consistency, positive repetition in all seasons. Don't just be nice today. Don't just wave hi today. Don't just be don't just be respectful today. Be respectful every day. There's a right way and wrong way to do things. There's a right way and wrong way how to treat and talk to people and correct them in the process. You don't have to curse people to correct them. You don't have to curse your children or your husband or your wives to correct them. And sometimes, yes, we are flesh and we get upset, yet control yourself, control your emotions, control your identity. Discipline your identity. Discipline yourselves and yourselves from the crown down, head to toe, your crown of your head to the sole of your feet. You are blessed. You are a machine. Electricity picking up different frequencies. So when you talk to different human beings, be the kindness, be the love that you desire to see in the world. And I'm going to end this video right now. Preparation, prepare. Sometimes you don't want to prepare. You just want to relax. And sometimes it's okay to relax and be still. But hey, just know that everything in this realm operates through productivity. If this is your first time visiting this channel, give me a like, comment so I know you're in the building, and subscribe to my channel. Shout out to my beautiful lioness cubs, always showing up. Thank you. And I will be moving into my new office soon. So I am excited about that. And that's to show you the goodness and the grace of God. Because sometimes things happen quickly than you expected. And that's how this happened. Me quickly thinking, hey, I need to be in a different sort of space. But that, anyways, let me wrap this up because there I'm going. But you see, this is what I love to do, communicate with you. And that's why I needed to be outside in the market to basically communicate with other people. Because that's our job, to reach out and touch somebody's hands and make this world a better place.